Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. Cheers.
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 Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
And I'm Laura Warren.
Laura Warren.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Very popular guest.
Yeah, you were really popular early on when we started this thing, so I mean, we wanted you to be back as
sooner.
Yeah,
and at Christmas time, in fact,
there was an Easter egg in our Christmas special. If you listen to it, at the very end, we wanted you weren't. You were supposed to be in our show, but you didn't make it because of the snowstorm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as promised, I'm back.
Awesome. Did you listen to that terrible show?
I did hear some of it, yeah.
Some of it.
The music, the terrible song.
Awesome. Well, the other thing is a special announcement. This is our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100.
So another cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Cheers to
That's
guys.
a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we're wicked company. So, Laura Warren, to folks who don't know who you are, or may not hear that episode from a year and a half ago, I think our audience got a little bit bigger.
Yes.
Just a little.
Yeah. Who are you?
So, I'm a psychic medium, and I was born in Halifax here in Nova Scotia. I've been doing readings now for about 18 years. And I used to do all local stuff, and in about 2019, I expanded everything, and now I do readings for people all over the world.
That's pretty awesome.
Amazing.
The amazing thing of the internet and Zoom and all that stuff.
Such a gift.
Yeah.
So psychic and medium, meaning she speak to the dead, and maybe she could have potentially almost spoke to you today. Tell us what happened on your way here, buddy.
Yeah, on my way here. This was almost very different. I almost had an accident. I had someone pull over into my lane and almost pinned me against the wall and took off my mirror. And if I didn't react the way I did, I would have lost a lot more than a mirror. So He just came over into my lane, 18-wheeler, didn't even know I was there, basically.
I have a saying that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does at the same time. And I always say, when big things are happening, big things happen. And you had a really big thing happen today.
Yeah, my heart is still pumping a little bit fast.
Do you believe in that Final Destination movie? Like these close calls, and now death's going to chase you around?
Is death going to chase me now?
No.
Because I don't feel like that.
I feel like accidents like that, or like a major event or trauma, I just feel like it's a mark. It's a turning point. So a lot of times they pop up when something in your life has to change.
All right. Well, there you go.
For the better, though.
Could also be the fact that I already did die, and this is just me living out like my fake reality, or whatever.
You just need to lay off on the craft beer. You're going too hard, maybe.
I don't think that was it.
One of the two? No. Maybe it was a sign.
No. I'm going to go with the fact that this is the parallel matrix universe that, maybe I am still lying back there and I've just continued on.
There's endless realities, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
It could be that. So welcome back. Why don't you update us a little bit on what has happened since and what's going on?
Well, after I left here, my partner and I, we've talked about our own podcast.
Yep.
Life kind of got in the way with that, but that's still coming. So We're hoping to launch by the end of March, which would be really great.
Cool.
But I've been writing a book, and also I have developed a mentorship course that teaches mediumship.
So what's writing a book? So the book, is it about your craft, or is it about your life? Is it about what?
I like to think of it like it's like a transformational spiritual book.
Okay.
So it's about my journey and how I got to this place, how I learned what I learned, the spiritual awakenings I've had. So it's kind of like my life and some of the really cool experiences I've had.
Okay. So it is kind of, a little bit of about you, a little bit about your, your craft and all that other stuff. So that's cool. Yeah. Awesome. When do you expect that to come out?
Well, the plan is I'm about halfway through my rough draft. And so the plan was to have the full draft done this year. And we've already decided between Kim and I, we're going to open our own publishing label and publish it.
Self-publish.
Yep. Self-publish. So, it should be, we should hopefully be ready for that by next spring.
Oh, cool.
Should be out.
What do you hope people get out of this book?
Really, what I want people to understand and see is that a lot of things can happen in your life, and you can decide, you get to choose how you deal with it. You get to decide how you handle it, how you behave, and what you take from it. And there's lots of things that had happened to me in the beginning of my journey that somebody might say, that's really scary or that's really negative. But what it did for me was it showed me exactly where I wanted to go, what I wanted, what I didn't want. And so if, the first spiritual awakening I had, I was 9 years old and I had a very high fever and heard voices and that kind of thing afterwards. Anybody would say that is really scary for a little kid. Yeah. And it was. But what I learned from it was that I was really strong and that I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do. I didn't have to listen to anything that made me feel bad. And I grew from that experience. So this has been kind of like a journey of amazing things, overcoming challenges, but also this expansion of who I am and what I hopefully can help other people with.
I don't remember if we asked you this the last time, but where you said you had that fever and then you kind of heard things, is that normal for someone to have, is it normal for someone to just have a natural, a reaction in terms of knowing and hearing and developing this gift after something traumatic? Or do you see it that some people just have it and they just develop it, or yeah? I
think it's a little bit of both. In my case, I could say I was probably a pretty intuitive kid, but until that experience, I was sick for most of that school year. Yeah. And one night just got really sick and then I got better, but then I was hearing voices afterwards on a consistent basis that I didn't understand. And then throughout my life, there's been other things that kind of correlate with other mediums. I've had 2 head injuries. I've had... it's not a near-death experience in the sense that I died, but I have gone to the other side. Yeah. So those are kind of common themes to be a young person and have a spirit of a loved one talk to you after they've passed, These are all common themes that a lot of mediums have experienced this. And when you talk to, this is a question that was asked when I did the talk at the symposium, the Halifax Paranormal Symposium.
Yeah, we had Elliot on the show.
Yeah. That was a question that was asked. Is this what happens in a person's physical body or in their energy when they have a serious accident? Why do they change in this way? And the only thing I can figure, or how I answer it, is I feel like it breaks down the resistance. It breaks down the walls of belief that hold you back from your potential. So if you can overcome these terrible things, it's almost like your energy and your mind can open up to everything that's possible for you.
It's kind of like having too many beers. The inhibitions are kind of...
the confidence, comes up. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Suddenly, it's spiritual able to do anything.
So for you now, I have to ask, you're raising kids, or you've raised kids. You said you had one going to college now.
Yeah.
Teaching the spirituality to your kids. Yeah. How does that work? And how are they managing life? Because, you just said something when you were talking that clicked with me when you said you don't have to listen to those nasty things that, other people say about you. And I mean, raising a teenager right now, I immediately think about that kid and feeling bad about what other people have to say all the time. Right?
Right. So it's interesting because I think there's an idea that spirituality is like crystals and beads and yoga and mantras and those things are wonderful. But really, spirituality is just knowing exactly who you are and what you're connected to. And so my kids, it's been a very simple, in some ways, a simple journey to say, you need to be whoever you are. You need to find who you are, and I will always support you. And that you are connected to a higher power, and that higher power can support you, can help you, and that you have control. So you have control over your thoughts, you have control over your behavior, and now I have a 14-year-old that this is an everyday conversation.
Yeah.
That, you know,
are they rejecting that notion? They must.
no, he's actually very, he listens, he trusts me, he's very open. It's just, he's going through all those fun stages where he is very immediately like he'll be snappy or cranky or whatever.
So a teenager.
Yeah. And so this is an everyday conversation that you get to choose.
Right.
You get to choose. You choose your thoughts. You choose your reality. You choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
What's it like to be the kid of somebody who has the abilities that you have?
Oh, it's funny because my youngest, he didn't understand what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, I was doing lots of different things. I was studying Reiki, I was studying foot reflexology, and I was doing readings, and I was making jewelry. So I was doing all these different things, and he didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So you know those things that kids fill out the Mother's Day,
Yeah.
the kind of information page with the little pictures on it. He did one at school.
Yeah.
And he didn't even know he didn't know how old I was either. So I guess I can't be too upset about this, but he said I was 62 and that I was a massage therapist. So
That's cool. Whatever.
As they got older, I could explain to them. When they were younger, I could support them because I knew what they were going through. So my youngest, both of my kids had connections with spirit, like actually kind of some scary things and some ghostly things, paranormal things. And I could support them and help them because they have abilities like me. They just don't want them. So I could support them, but I didn't scare them. I didn't tell them don't worry about mommy. She's just going to do an exorcism. I'll be back in, 2 hours. Like I didn't do that to them when they were little.
Mother's conversations.
Yeah. So I waited until they were older and we had the conversation that, if you don't have to believe what I believe, but if you believe that the spirit lives on, that's what I do. I talk to spirits to help the living so the living can get past challenges and problems that they might have had or things that they didn't get to say to their loved one.
Yeah. Are they receiving that kind of thing or?
Yeah, like they have lived a very interesting life, I would say.
Probably. Yeah.
So you neither one of your kids rejected, eh? They're both kind of supportive and
they don't reject it. It's just always been part of their life, and I didn't introduce things in like a scary or immediate way. It was sort of like the first conversations we had was sort of like, "What do you think God is?"
Right.
And my oldest at 5 years old said, "I think God is the fire in your heart, and I think God is everywhere."
That's cool.
So
That's a good...
at 5 years old, that was that was the analogy. That was, and I was like, okay, we're on the right track because I grew up in the church. I grew up Bible stories and, fables and all these things. And I didn't feel like that was necessary with them. I just felt like that's my background and that's okay. But I left things open for them to decide. And the kids are so intuitive. They know anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I actually had this conversation not that long ago with my mother, and because she's still very religious, and I kind of how I explained it to her is like, I'm open for my son to be open to whatever, let him decide it, and the conversation kind of was like, well, if you don't introduce it to him, how will he ever know, and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I'll introduce it to him in a different way, right?
Yeah.
I'll introduce him in a way that like I'll educate him on like, these are Christians, these are Muslims, these are Jewish people, these are whatever, and it's like these are
they're all at a bar.
They all walk into a bar. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like they exist. Yeah. This is what they believe in. This is what I think, and you can make up your mind, whatever you think, right? Yeah. It's let them kind of. I want to go about teaching faith from, I guess, more of a
holistic,
but also like in a it sounds weird, but in a factual way, where it's like these are the facts, these are what they believe. You figure out your faith, you figure out what you believe. I'm just going to give you the information. Yeah. Right?
Well, we know religion, it comes from man, and so that's the difference between religious and being spiritual. Yeah. Being spiritual means that you're completely comfortable with who you are and completely comfortable with what you believe and your own connection. So you're
Right.
familiar with how you feel about that energy that surrounds us that we can't see, or that unseen force.
Yeah.
And so I know my kids, at least my oldest, has quite very opposed to organized religion. There is a generational thing too.
And why do you think that is? Just as commonplace today?
I think it's recent events, it's history, it's the things that have come to the surface. And my oldest journey has been very different. So they are a beautiful soul, but they are gender fluid. So they don't claim to have any gender marker, anything like that. And so they know or have felt that a lot of organized religions wouldn't accept them. And they do have...
Or countries at this point,
Or
unfortunately.
countries, yeah.
Yeah, it's going backwards in a lot of
In
places.
some places, it's going the other way.
And it's sad, because if anybody knew Val is such a beautiful person. Just a beautiful person.
If you know anybody, your perspective changes immediately.
Well, I
think
right?
that's true.
Yeah, as soon as you realize they're human beings,
Yeah,
right? And you
right.
sit down and talk to someone, you're like, okay, wait a minute, right?
That's it.
I think that's the biggest thing is like, when you're personally connected with somebody and anything. But I think in the end, it's one of those things where we have the freedom crowd, quote unquote, that spouts off about freedoms. And yet they seem to be the folks that don't believe in bodily autonomy, aka freedom.
Yeah.
And it's ironic.
We're in a very backwards time. Very.
It's strange. I was listening to Black Sabbath today, War Pigs, driving Gracie to school. That's kind of a cool guy I am. And she's listening to the song and like getting into it. I'm like, you hear these lyrics, you hear what it's all about, and like the politics and all that. Anyways, Gracie, I'm like, think about today. It's the exact same.
Yeah.
This was 55 years ago.
No,
Scary.
some things don't change.
Isn't it?
In a way, some things don't change. They
Crazy.
just kind of, it's that pendulum, right? Kind of like back and forth,
Crazy,
and forth.
man.
Right?
Well, that's the thing. And I mean, transgender people have been around for a millennia. We just didn't have the words. We didn't have the words we use now.
Yeah,
That's the only
language caught
difference.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
More like,
I don't understand the discomfort with. I mean, I think what it is you have to learn how to be comfortable with not understanding something. It's the the uppermost basic building block that a lot of people don't seem to have. It's like, I mean, this show's coming out in March, but Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people didn't like that performance. Now, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. I'll tell you, I love that performance.
I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan, and I love that.
A lot of people
ear to ear smiling the entire show. Andrea's sitting beside me. She loves it too because every time he comes out with a new thing, I'm showing her his song. I'm explaining it. I'm a total hip hop nerd, right? So our family loved that performance, right? But some people were so upset before they even wanted to pay attention with it or couldn't be at peace with it because they didn't understand it. This episode is brought to you by Kimia Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Kimia Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Kimia can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Kimia by calling 902-880-8429 or email Kimia@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Kimia Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
Yeah, and a lot of what we're seeing is this contrast. So there's no gray area anymore.
Right.
And there's a lot of people, either it's not that you can't be wishy-washy anymore because you wouldn't fit in anywhere. You're either this side or this side, and there's nothing in the
something
middle.
like that.
And so it's interesting because years ago, like, this was a message that came forward for where we were going as the human race, what was progressing. And it was probably about 12 years ago, I got this sort of a message through meditation that the world was moving towards black and white type of thinking and nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
So and that creates a lot of conflict because then it ends up that you have no common ground. But the idea that some people will elevate to an understanding and some people can't.
Yeah.
They just can't.
I think if you kind of like dance in the gray, which I feel like I often am, because I feel like I'm fairly in the middle for a lot of things. Oftentimes, I get called a conservative or I get called a liberal.
Yeah, we both do. Yeah.
We both do, right?
Yeah.
In sometimes within the same day, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, right. So if you dance in the middle and you try to see from both sides and you try to like be that common ground, you're right.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the black.
different. And there's different ways
The
of
black
thoughts
thinks
too,
you're white
like
and the white thinks you're black.
thinking and growing and getting knowledge and gathering information. A lot of it's ones and zeros, or like you say, blacks and white certainties and yeses and nos to get to a conclusion, right?
Right.
So it is challenging to take in both sides, right? So you have to say, okay, this requires a 100% rational mindset. You know, don't go on a rapping, cursing tirade on your Instagram profile just yet. And you have to carry a certain logic about you as a human.
Right.
But then with that, there's also that fear that's in all of us, right? Like we don't know what's safe to say or what's safe to do anymore. It's getting really confusing,
It is.
right?
Which is kind of crazy, because that's what I think I like about our show, is that we can sit down and talk with different people from different perspectives, and we can talk about things.
Sure.
And we can be corrected if we say something wrong or whatever it may be. Like, you know, we have discussions from people who have different beliefs and all that stuff, and we just listen to them, right? We listen to them. They tell their story. It doesn't matter if we agree with them or not, whatever, right? But it's about sitting down and talking to people, right?
I always felt like, what if we just introduced a different space? So the space that, because I don't necessarily see the two of you in a gray area. What I see is you're above. So above, viewing from above,
like the
black and
Muppets
the
on the
white.
balcony.
Yeah, right. Like you can
Sattler and Muller.
you can view it all. You can criticize if you want to. You can pump it up if you want to, but you don't have to engage it. And that's what I've been trying, because I have a lot of clients that are very upset right now, and they feel scared. You know,
Yeah,
they're
I
scared
would
in this
imagine
world.
so.
Families feel scared. Families are ripped apart right now, right?
And
It's
that's where I am with it. Is I usually say, you know what, we can act as observers or bystanders if we need to protect ourselves. So we can stand back from the battle. You can observe it. You can collect your data. You don't have to engage all the time, because it's too tiring.
Cool. That's something I need to learn, and I've been practicing it a little bit. It's tough.
It is tiring. I mean, to use discernment, to choose when, you know, you want to engage, that's good. We all have to stand up for what's right. But there are times when you don't have to. There are times when it's better to be the observer and collect the information and not emotionally engage.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to call that too, though, because sometimes I think standing by is a bit of a weakness, because when there's really terrible transformations happening to your own nation, right? And you're idly just watching and you don't believe it.
Yeah.
And you can't believe it's happening, but you didn't vote.
I know.
You know, or whatever, right? You didn't actually take a stance against it. Like so many celebrities with a voice kind of just stopped talking.
Yeah.
So many people just gave up.
I had someone say something to me recently, and I don't know. I reject it, but I mean, I heard it, but I rejected the thing, and they said that silence is basically a form of agreeing, like acceptance.
Yeah.
It is,
but I don't agree with that.
I
because,
do
like
kind
what
of
you
agree with
said,
it.
Laura, is that
No,
like
I kind of agree with that. I mean,
no, but it's picking and choosing, right?
It's discernment.
It's discernment. So that's the thing. It's like, I don't think I'm silent all the time. I say things when I need to say things, and pick and trying to pick and choose. But something that I needed to learn, and this is what I said back to this person, is something that I am still learning to do, is that when you argue with a fool, all other people will see are two fools arguing.
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes you have to just know, I'm not going to change this person's mind.
Right.
So you know what? Just don't.
Yeah, no, that I agree with.
Yeah. It's like, how hard is it to walk away from a Facebook fight, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's hard.
exactly.
You want to be...
That's why it's a Facebook fight, right?
You want to be in there, and you want your voice to be heard, and everybody wants their voice to be heard. But I have learned that there are things to invest my energy in.
No, I don't draw myself into that stuff.
Yeah.
Never have social media kind of drawn myself into arguments.
That there's
online.
things to
Never.
pay attention to and to invest your energy in that matter.
Right.
And I think that's the point, is to take something into your heart and ask yourself, is this worth my energy. If you're fighting for your country, it is.
Yeah.
It just is. There's not really any question there.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things going on in this world that do not deserve our energy.
No,
And that
that's
just
true.
feeds the fire.
Certain things, but even the things that do deserve our energy, some people don't deserve our energy.
Yeah. Well, you
Right.
can't talk to somebody if they don't have capacity to understand you. So this was something I learned this many years ago, that there was no point in trying to explain myself to somebody who did not want to understand me.
Right. Yeah.
They don't, if they don't want to, then you can't make them. And I
No,
think we
exactly.
had this talk the last time I was
did,
here
yeah.
about skeptics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said how skeptics are actually really good because
If they're a fair skeptic.
they will
Yeah.
open up. A true skeptic is somebody who opens themselves up to all possibilities and they just want to hear all the information
Yep.
and then weigh it out and make a decision.
Yep.
Wherever their decision falls is up to them, but they're willing to hear all the points
Yes.
and weigh them equally. Somebody who's closed will not do that. They
Right.
don't want to change. They don't want to change what they think. They don't want to change their behavior, or they're afraid.
Yep.
Ready for a segue? Perfect segue. Skeptics. We talked today about doing a couple different. I'm going to. How do I say it? Get a reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get a reading here right now on the show. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
I am.
I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know why. So after I do this, Matt, it's on you. You're going to. So I'm going to do the psychic part of it,
Okay.
and Matt, you're going to do the medium part of it.
Oh, great. Okay, I love this. I didn't know this is how you were going to do it.
This is that's what I told you on the
Yeah.
message.
I don't read your text.
You didn't read it? Jeepers! No, I sent it to you on the text. Look, it said,
Dude, you understand when you sent that, I almost died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that part?
I was still texting.
Don't
I was
text
still
and see,
texting. I'm like,
don't text
okay.
and drive. Don't text
This is
and
the
drive.
thing.
That's the
I didn't
message.
read your message
PSA.
Oh,
because
okay.
you sent it, and then I almost died, and we would have had to do this with a Ouija board.
That would have been wicked if I got to talk to you.
Thanks.
I
Thanks.
mean, just cool once. I mean, it'd be
Yeah, you
sad
only
after.
die once.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So so I don't know how this works. Like,
Okay.
so if someone was coming to visit you, I mean, did they usually have a reason to come and visit you?
Yeah, like a lot of people do, but some people are just curious. Some
Yeah.
people just want to have the experience.
Yeah.
But more often there's a problem. I usually get people at the end of the line that have tried everything else and they don't know where else to turn, you know.
I'm not at the end of the line, I don't think, but not yet.
At the end of his rope.
Yeah, we'll see. Heart's still ticking.
Yeah.
But I guess what I want to learn right now is, I mean, Matt and I have been extremely busy doing work, our full-time
Yeah.
jobs, families, and we've got a lot on the go. I know I personally take on a lot, and I seem to take on more and more and more and more. I never say no because I want to grow. I
Yeah.
want to grow this business that I'm working with, and I want to grow everything. I want to succeed wherever I'm at, right?
Right.
But it's exhausting,
Yeah.
right? And some days I really kind of want to just kind of crawl into a hole, but
And
I can't.
hide.
Right?
No, you got too
'cause
much to
those
do.
Days, like, I want to do that. I usually have to have something. Have to get something done, right?
Yeah.
So very short naps, right? Kind of deal.
Just recharge.
Yeah.
15
so,
minutes.
I want to know. My thought on it all is sometimes is it all worth it?
All the work you're doing, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's your question, that's good. That's good. And I'm going to
It's a
get
weird way to start.
I'm going to get into that. Normally, I have a little routine I do, but I knew this was going to happen. I actually showed up today. They asked me what I wanted to drink. I don't drink and read. So I got a coffee and I'm all jazzed and ready to go.
She took 3 lines of cocaine before she started. So we'll leave that out. Yeah.
So what I want to say about you is that, yes, you do take on a lot, but I would say that the issue is not how much you take on. It's more how hard you are on yourself getting the things done. So you're a little bit of a perfectionist.
Sometimes.
Well,
it depends. If it's a passionate thing, I'm
we
an
can
uber
say
perfectionist.
there's a hyper focus
Yeah.
in some areas.
I think it's ADHD.
Sure,
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
But the feeling is that I'll find a way to explain this, but there is a personal commitment that you make to yourself. You take on the responsibility to get a certain amount of things done or to cover your relationship responsibility, your, parenting responsibility, your work responsibility. You actually take on a lot. And I think that your friends would agree with me that sometimes you're hard on yourself about how much you think you should do.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
He hates everything we do.
I don't hate everything we do. No,
Literally hates everything until he like thinks about it for a week and then he comes around.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what it is I think everything's terrible.
Yes.
All.
Like, so is that like your...
Like literally said, you hate everything. Like, no, that's not. I just think everything's terrible.
No, but what it is it hasn't worked out yet. So I want everything to come out as good as it can. Every project. So like a song that'll sit on the shelf for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like if I wrote a song or if I wrote any kind of artistic creation, I hate it forever. Right.
But that's the perfectionism though.
Yeah.
Because when you put so much of yourself and your energy into what you do, sometimes what happens is you begin to resent how much work you put into things. So I'm just trying to find a way to explain this properly. But if you have 10 things to do and you have put a lot of your effort into the first 9 things and you had those 10 things you had to do in the day, when you go to bed at night, you can't stop thinking about that 10th thing.
No, last night I couldn't stop thinking about one thing I had to do today. I got done today, but
yeah,
it was
but
last
then
night.
you don't sleep.
Yep, that's right.
And you're not getting recharged because your mind is busy and it doesn't rest. So this is, don't take this as cliche because it sounds it's going to come out that way, but you need quiet time. Like your mind needs time to shut off completely. It doesn't have to be a long time every day, but you need like 15 minutes in a dark room to let your mind do nothing.
I hate that. Like, so I can't even do that. I mean, the only way I can really pacify my mind is if I can play a video game down in the basement for 20 minutes.
So
it's like, but it's not really quiet in my mind.
Well, see what that does.
I'm still doing something.
That is distraction.
Yeah.
And I understand distraction because my mind's very busy too.
Yeah.
So I often do the same thing so I can move my mind from where it is. I'm totally distracted and focused on this mundane thing for a little while. And I understand that too. But this is different. This is the hamster on the wheel doesn't stop. So you are getting a little resentful of everything you have to do. And there's things that you have to do. You can't stop it.
Right.
So there's that. But I wanted to bring forward this to you. What would happen? What's worst case scenario? What would happen if you took time, if you stopped?
Oh, I think my phone would ring a lot.
You think your phone would ring? Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think it probably nothing. I think.
Would it bother you though?
Probably bother me more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my thinking on this is that doing mundane things can help you have inspiration. It
100%.
it can bring things in, creativity and those things.
Yep.
And that works really well for you. But actually resting the mind and not feeling like you have to run and go do anything could be very valuable and make you more productive. So I didn't realize I was doing this myself, but I thought I was always a procrastinator. And then I realized
I thought I am too. I feel like I'm always behind on everything. But
I'm saying this for a reason because I realized I'm not procrastinating. I actually do planned procrastination. So what happens with me is I'll think about something and plan it out all in my mind because I'm so much like that type A personality. I don't actually want to bring it into existence until I'm sure it's right. So I do this thing where I actually have it all worked out in my mind.
That's why it took you 2 years for this freaking podcast.
Right? I had to think about it.
Yeah.
So what happens is that I did this all through university and thought I was a procrastinator. Okay. So I'd not do the paper. One day before this 20-page paper is due, I sit down and pound it out. Why does that happen? It happens because you already did all the work.
Yeah.
You just haven't actually produced it, right?
I get that.
Yeah.
And that's amazing when you get creatively writing or something. You're like, I spent that out in like a night. What the hell? And then you realize, no, you thought about that.
So
for
what Matt
2 years? Yeah.
What Matt is picking up on when you say everything's terrible, what it actually is you are a true creator. You are a true artist. true artists are very hard on themselves.
But I mean, I feel bad because sometimes I'm even hard on Matt. Like, I don't like that. I mean, it's just, I'm like, you just kind of shit on everything.
Yeah.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does. That's why I love working with Matt, because he's so friggin' chill when I'm like not good, right?
Yeah, because he knows your process.
Yeah.
So just like any great artist, you have a process. You have a process.
Yeah. No,
and your
he's
process
always very chill when
is-
I'm not good. I'm always like, I didn't like this. I don't think we should have done that. I don't know. This is all right.
Exactly.
Gotta
So
change everything.
You're critical. You're critical, and everything's terrible until it's not. He already knows that.
Yeah.
He knows how to just let this whole thing blow over and happen. He's like, let him have his little temper tantrum, and then everything will be fine.
There you go. Yeah.
But on another note, I just want to say that I think you don't give yourself enough credit.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really happening is there's not enough reward within what you're doing. You're not rewarding yourself. It's like if something is successful, you're very humble and grounded, and that's really nice. But when things are successful, it's okay to take credit. It's okay to sit back and understand it and take it in and say, I did that.
No. I'll ask you this other bit here now, too, because I mean, like, what the regret of this, too, is, I mean, and Matt, I'm sure you see this as well, all the time we spend doing all this extra stuff outside from our regular jobs.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, my family still gets a lot of time. Like, you know, thankfully I get a lot of family time, and I think they see that they're satisfied with how much they see me. I think they don't want any more. But no, more so like my parents and stuff outside of my household is something I feel tremendous skills out of, like all the time, right? Like, you know, I see my dad enough, my mom and stuff like that. They're still alive and they're still very healthy, right? You know, and they're great people. I love them, right?
Have you talked to your parents? Like, have you ever asked them if they're missing you or if you're not around enough? Because I think you'd be surprised what they say.
Oh, no. What, that I am around enough?
No, well, I feel like they would understand.
Oh,
that,
I think they do.
Yeah.
They do. No, my parents are really good about it, but I still feel guilty anyways.
So that, but this
It doesn't matter. Like, I'm always going to feel terrible.
This is what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah,
This is how we play these games with ourselves.
Yeah.
And you're doing the very best you can do. And your parents know that. So they're not upset. Oh, sure, they would love to have their kids. I'm sure every parent wants their kid around.
This is a therapy. You know. This isn't psychic. This is therapy. This is therapy, isn't it?
Every good therapist is psychic.
Okay.
But I'll say to you that if you were to go to a therapist, they wouldn't tell you what's happening. They would ask you to tell them. That's the difference. So I can see the energy around you of the creator, the artist, the person who is trying so hard to be other people's everything in a sense, and that you're hard on yourself to the point where sometimes it tortures you. It keeps you up, you know, or keeps your mind in a place that is not always so healthy or energizing. But also, you care a lot about your friends. You're very loyal. You would do anything for anybody you loved. You're very careful, though. You have very good intuition about crappy people. So
100.
When you meet people, you pretty much know right away if they're a good person or not.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
much,
reading me like 100%.
You pretty much can say
like a tea leaf.
Yeah. Actually, my grandmother used to read tea leaves. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like you meet people and you just know, and you can see things. It's like I would say more in your like artistic endeavors. It feels like you're able to meet people and see almost like where you're going with them. It's like you can meet somebody and say, we're going to do a project together. I just know it. Or we're going to do like these 3 things over the next year together. Like it's just going to happen. Like you already know, even though the person might not quite understand. They might be like, I don't know, I just met this guy, you know? So I think if you trusted your intuition, I think you may be out of the insurance game sooner than you think, because
I had to bleep that part out.
Bleepity bleep. Because you can follow your passion when you trust that you have everything that you need within you to make it work on every level, financial, social, for family, responsibility, all that.
Okay, I got to ask a question back to you, and I know this is about me here, and I appreciate everything that you said, and I think it's dead on. Like, how do you go and I'm asking this like heart to heart, okay, not rudely, without any disrespect, but how do you go out there and put yourself out there as a psychic medium? Because I mean, if I think of the vulnerability, like I can't put myself out there as like, like I want to make a rap video, or I want to do a hip hop thing, or I want to do something that's not supposed to be the box that you see me in. The fear of failure doing that is like, it's just crazy.
Oh my God.
Right?
I had serious imposter syndrome when I started. Serious. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was doing anything. And here's the thing. Within you, you don't realize how talented you are because it's you. You're used to you. You know, you spend a lot of time with you. So you don't see what other people see.
Right.
And I didn't realize that sometimes, even before I was reading people, before I was like a reader, that I was doing this. I didn't realize that I was hitting on all these things with people, things about their life that I shouldn't know. And then when I did get into reading, at first I didn't tell anybody. I was teaching. I remember I was teaching at Rockingstone Heights, just down the street. And I was doing a radio show. And it was like a blog talk radio type show. And one of my teacher friends heard it. And I remember I was mortified. I was just like, oh my God, they're going to find out what I do. Like I was hiding it. And it's because I felt like, you know, I had to separate the two. I'm a professional teacher. The administration, the parents are not going to understand, you know, all these things. And I probably wasn't wrong. But when the teaching ended for me, and I realized that this was going to become my full-time profession, I was told like that, you know, maybe internal voice, maybe from spirit, but my feeling was if I didn't own who I was never going to get to where I wanted to be. So I had to own it. And I can promise you that once you own it and you own everything you are, people feel your authenticity and they know it's true. They know it's you. People actually do have a pretty good BS meter, you know, like most people. And they can tell when somebody is doing something that's from their true essence or not. But if you can't own it, then it just holds you back longer. I mean, it's okay. It's a process. I can't tell you that I didn't jump right out there and say, hey, I'm a psychic reader, you know. It took me a while. So it's
100%,
it's hard to own the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
It really is.
Cool. So, we'll jump to the end of this, I guess, this session. Now, what do you recommend the path forward is for someone like me? Or how can, I don't know how I can, that's maybe not a fair question to ask. You can rephrase that however you want. Yeah.
I would say that the first thing is trying to correct some of the ways that you perceive yourself. Because what's within is without. So nobody can trust you. Nobody can understand your gift or your ability if you don't accept it or understand it yourself. So it's like this process of accepting, surrendering, getting to know yourself. And the universe has this funny way, it'll push you right to the cliff, right to the limit before the net appears, right? So this feeling like you may choose to wait a little bit longer, but at some point, if your gift is ready to be received by the world, you could be pushed into it without choice, I'll say. Your path actually is quite interesting because I sometimes see almost like a diagram, like your soul path.
Okay.
And you could choose to stay on the path you're on, like stay in something reliable and sensible and all that. But what's going to happen is you're going to become probably more tired, more disinterested in life in general, maybe a little bit crankier, you know, like
that's not good
like
for anybody.
He's already cranky old man.
But that's what I mean. Like you doing things that you love feeds you.
Right.
And so we always have a choice.
It certainly does.
We always have a choice.
Like we're 100 episodes of this show. I couldn't be happier with this show.
Yeah.
We're so proud of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh,
that
my
night,
God.
I mean, it meant the whole world to me to make this work and to do it with a friend. And it means the world to me.
And you both have done an amazing job. And that's what's here, what's happening.
Yeah.
This is all from strictly from your heart. This is something you really want to do.
Genuine enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's ADD. ADHD squared is what it is.
It is.
Like, it's
So-
genuine enthusiasm on both sides.
There is this like feeling like you don't have to be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
If I'll ask you this, do you believe in past lives? Do you believe you've lived other lives?
No,
So you just think you just appeared here with all this infinite wisdom.
just splats and space dust and grossness, and that's it. And death. Yeah, I don't really think a lot about stuff like that, and I probably am afraid to.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well-
I just like. I don't know. I just don't know if I want to go, I don't explore those routes of possibilities very often.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
My feeling is that if you just came here from stardust
Yeah.
and you were walking around in this world, I think you'd be pretty lost. And I don't feel like you're lost.
No, I don't feel lost.
I feel like you're
I'm found in
actually-
so many ways. I love my partner, Andrea, and everything's great,
Yeah.
like in life. I mean, the only thing that's missing is like, am I on that career path or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
on that right
so you
spot.
know science, not energy is neither created nor destroyed. So you have always existed in some form. Whether you believe in past lives or not, it's okay.
Right. Okay, cool.
But think about how long energy has existed in this universe. You had to have absorbed some knowledge, some wisdom.
This water's been around.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Water as memory, right?
It is. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You are this soul, this being with infinite possibility. And really the only thing that's holding you back is fear.
I'm sure I got a lot of it.
And fear it's not really real.
Yeah.
It's there to be like the bumper pads in the bowling alley in a sense.
Yeah.
To prevent you from, major disasters and things. But at the same time, it's not there to stop you from living your life. It's not there to stop you from living your purpose. And if your purpose is to create, then sometimes we just have to jump and let the net appear.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really love that. That was really nice.
Yeah.
So, Matt, do you want to talk to a dead relative?
Sure, I'll talk to it.
or would you rather just do the same thing I just did and just do it for you? Because it's
I'm
going to
open
be
to whatever, man.
entirely
Honestly.
different. What do you want to do? This is our 100th episode, buddy.
It's
You do what you
100.
want.
Do whatever we want.
Big celebration.
Choose your own path.
Yeah. No, I'm down with whatever. I don't know. I'll leave it up to Laura.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah, you can do whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
down for anything. I think this stuff is all pretty interesting to me. I love it. So
This is interesting because you're open to whatever.
yeah,
And when that happens, sometimes we have a bunch of spirits show up.
amazing.
So let's do this. Do you have a grandfather energy? So he wouldn't have passed too long ago. And there is, I'm not sure if it's him or another spirit that's coming in, but there's almost a feeling like a very organized life, like I want to say military, but that's not really the right thing. But military families often have this feeling like they look at life in a very like cut and dry kind of way. So the energy is similar. but I can't tell exactly if because it might be behind your grandfather. Like there's something military coming through.
Okay.
But it, again, might not be connected to, so this is the grandfather on the recently passed grandfather. Is that on your mother's side?
No, not on my mother's side.
On your father's?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. What's his first name?
On dad's side?
Yeah.
Walter.
It's odd. It's like, it must be a pride in the family. I keep seeing like recognition or awards, and that's why it leads me down that path. But you don't have a military connection. Or do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, sort of. I mean, I was in the military for 3 years.
Okay.
But also, my grandfather, so I guess it depends on a timeline, but my grandfather, who passed away in 2001, was fought in the war.
Okay.
And he actually never got to see me join the military. I joined the military a year after he passed away.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So is this Walter, or is this the other grandfather?
No, that's JJ.
Okay, so that's probably part of the confusion. So we have both grandfathers here standing together, but I couldn't pin down who was connected to military. So let's talk to JJ for a second. Very proud of the family line, very proud of the legacy. It's very important to him. He talks about a baby coming into the family.
Okay.
We're not going to be super specific because I don't know who knows what and what's going on, if it's been announced, but there's a baby coming. He's excited. He said that this is really funny. He said, "You have become a better man than him."
Oh.
So he's watching you grow. He's watching you grow and change. And he said, in a family, it's almost like people pick a figurehead and they look up to that person. And he said, I don't feel like I want to be that person anymore because I want to pass on the torch. So it's like he wants to pass to you this family legacy of continuing. So sometimes, because even spirits sometimes think in the way of sort of like an older generation, how they would think about carrying on a legacy and there's a baby boy coming and that kind of thing. So that energy is there.
Right.
And I can, again, like this might be kind of too new information in a sense where it's coming. I can't tell when it's going to happen, but it's like very soon. And he said not to worry because you have you're very protective of your family. Very, very protective of your like immediate circle.
Oh, yeah.
And he said he wants you to understand that you have so much protection from the spirit world, and that, yes, it's good. Like you want to protect your family. That's very noble. But he said, don't feel like you have to do it alone. Because there's some things about you in particular within yourself that you actually take the responsibility of kind of helping everybody, kind of being there for everybody. And he said it's very honorable and he's very proud of you, but he doesn't want you to burn yourself out either.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because you're everywhere all the time and you're trying to make sure you keep track of everybody and, do you need anything? And, you're very protective over your wife, which is good.
Yeah.
But he said that she is strong. She is stronger than anybody knows. And the two of you are a team, more equal sometimes than I think anybody knows.
Yeah.
And I think your wife would agree with me on that one.
Yeah. We have our strengths. We each kind of rule the roost in different ways. That's true. Yeah.
There's a career path. So your grandfather said you have, like, as you talked about, you have switched gears in some ways in your life, different times. And he said, there's almost like no question, no judgment from him, from the spirit world. He said that you have followed what was best for you. and it's recognized. It's like almost like recognized, recorded, and it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. You could change your mind 100 times and he's still going to love you. So there's not that idea that you have to stay in a track, you know, there's, for him, he's saying that when he was alive, if he gave you that impression at any time, he's sorry, because he doesn't want you to think that you have to do something and be unhappy doing it. Now there's somebody that wants to come through that we both knew, and he's very fantastical and very on the fringe of some belief systems, I would say.
All right.
And I think I know who this is. So his name is Tom. I knew him as Tom, and he's here. He actually showed up at our last podcast, but we didn't really do the reading thing, so it just didn't happen. And he's been very patient. But he is also saying, please just do your thing. Do what you're best at and love it, enjoy it, own it. Because he said life's too short to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Or be in places that you don't want to be in.
Yeah. That's pretty legit. Yeah, that would be him.
So he is he's like a champion. Like he's like, I have become the champion of my family. Because he said there are people that are still sad and upset, of course, and that's normal. But he said, my duty now has become protecting my family, and that I have taken on that superhero. He wants to be that superhero role and be there for everyone. And he said, why would you think I wouldn't be there for you?
Yeah.
He's literally everywhere all the time. And he said, I know that's creepy, but I am.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah.
And he's all love. You know, people get stuck in places and bad things happen, but he literally is 100% love. And he has worked really hard. He stands almost like he stands before us right now, and he has all his hair back, by the way, he said.
It comes back? There you go. Good for him.
Loves his hair. He's got some kind of like, almost like a suit, I would say, on, but he's wearing really like fancy kind of sneakers. Like it's like they're sneakers, but Converse or sneakers or something. But he's got like a nice, like an actual suit on, and he's posing.
Of course.
So he needs you to know that number one, he's okay. He's like, why? He doesn't. So he's been in the spirit world long enough that they kind of get to this place where they're like worried about us. And they're like, why is anybody worried about me? Like, I'm fine. Right. But it's understandable that we would worry about them. But he's like, oh my God, like I am so fine. But because of how things happen, he is bonded to your entire family and is in service.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said he would spend 1,000 lifetimes trying to make up for what he did. So if you need something, you know who to ask, because he knows how to make things happen. He said, I'm kind of magic.
That's true. Yeah. Mr. Crow. Yeah.
So there are... Did you lose a grandmother as well? There's
both.
Oh, both. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a grandmother who comes through, sweet energy, but almost like, when we get older, and I know a lot of people do kind of, have their shoulders kind of, but hers are more pronounced. She has shorter hair, and what's her first name?
Yeah, I mean, both of them would be, but one would be Teresa. The other would be Dorothy.
Okay.
But yeah.
So
Teresa would be on mom's side. Dorothy would be on dad's side.
Who's the one that loves pink? I see pink.
Ooh, I don't know.
Question for your mom, I guess.
Yeah, mom or dad. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I'm leaning towards, like, a lot of your dad's family's coming in today. So I'm leaning towards it's Dorothy, right, on your dad's side.
Yeah.
So there is sometimes they come in with an energy that kind of tells me things. So that might be the pink, and pink tells me that she was a person also all about family, wanting to make sure everyone's okay before her. She had, I'd say, like small pleasures in her life, but she didn't make a big deal out of anything. She didn't want to spend a lot of money. You know, she wasn't that person. She wasn't extravagant, but she liked some small, nice things. So she shows me a few items. It looks like maybe a china set, like dishes, like the teacups, the whole bit, but there's a whole set. And this again might be something you might have to confirm with your parents, but there's
no,
like,
you know what, that if that actually end up might being on that might be Teresa, because mom still has like the china set that we had at her.
okay. So there's this china set, there's like this feeling like, oh, and by the way, they all hang out together. It's like, because they're all connected, so they would all hang out together, and they'd all be there because they have one purpose: look after all the people that are still here, right? Yeah. So I see this set, and I also see a person, a grandparent, a grandmother, that when you came over, it was all about you. So she would sit down and completely focus on you. What do you need? Do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a treat, a cookie, a piece of cake? What is going on with you?
Yeah.
And so whichever grandmother that relates to the most, that's who's here. And she is here because she said that you, it's so funny. The message is kind of similar, but there's a little difference. And she said that you don't have to carry the weight of the world. Mm. You don't have to. You are strong enough to do it, and you've proved it. But it's okay to ask for help. Mm. And that's not something you're very good at.
No, it's very true. That's very true. Yeah.
But she loves you. They all love you. And I just feel like these grandmothers are friends. I feel like I'm watching a little like hen party, and they're talking back and forth and like talking about all different things, recipes. You want to play cards? Okay. You know, it's all this really cool. Like they get along. And, also to tell you that you have a very special child that is very bright, and it will help you to seek out some extracurricular things, some different kinds of experiences, all different types of learning, because their mind is so busy that it will make it easier for you if they have the right kind of stimulation. And I know you're working on that already in some ways, but it's like, you know, a intelligent mind can be a gift and a curse. And yes, there's a lot of hyperness that is coming out, and it's to take it and use it to use that energy like efficiently kind of, or to direct it and into everything they're interested in, even if it's weird. So if they're interested in, I don't know, like purple ponies, you know, like just to encourage the interest, and the interest is going to change over and over again, but they are learning so much. They're like a sponge.
No, I agree with that. Actually, I believe in going to your kids and not having your kids go to you. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there is, because they haven't started school yet, right?
No.
So there is some. It's not anything to concern yourself over. It just when they start school, there's going to be some adjustment, but you can navigate that because they're smart enough that you can explain things to them and they're going to get it. But there is some kind of bumps starting school. So your grandmothers are both telling me that your kid needs like outside time.
Okay.
Like it's like if they don't get enough at school, they're going to be like rangy,
Yeah.
difficult, whatever. But you're going to figure it all out, and it's gonna smooth itself out. But I'm supposed to tell you that, and also, I keep that this is later, so we can't confirm this right now. But I'll just give it to you anyway. Something about teeth. So down the road, some kind of dental stuff, and also much later, there's something to do with glasses, which is odd because I don't know. It almost looks like they don't need them all the time.
Okay.
But it's all very minor things, but just things that kind of popped up in my awareness that I thought I should share. So,
Okay. Glasses.
do you feel overloaded yet? That's what happens sometimes.
No, I don't. I'm pretty. I almost died today, so everything's fine. Right?
Every after that, everything's okay.
Everything is okay.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well,
Yeah.
cheers. Like,
Yeah.
100, I mean, this
Cheers.
is a wicked way to do a 100th episode. I think
It is, really
Truly
cool way to do
well.
an episode. Yeah.
I don't know where to go from here. How do we top that?
Just
Should we-
shell-shocked.
Should we go to our stupid questions?
We can go to our stupid
Are you
question.
ready for stupid questions? Is there
I'm
more stuff
ready.
you want to talk about?
I'm ready for the questions. Let's
All
bring
right,
it on.
cool. Well,
bring
let's
it
get
on.
the camera set up man,
Yeah.
there, and I'll try to get some of this stuff off the table. Last time we filmed the 10 questions like we're doing now, somebody thought I had a pack of smokes on the table. It wasn't a pack of smokes. I quit a long time ago. It was a pack of batteries. So
Oh,
I'm just letting that person know. Just thought about that. I was like, "You people are
no
good."
cigarettes.
Here we are. 10 questions.
All right, 10 questions with
Me, Laura Warren, psychic comedian.
Lauren, psychic medium.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just say that if you are only seeing the video portion of this show, we just had a really crazy chat where Matt
Yeah.
and I both had psychic readings and a medium reading for you.
Yep.
She talked to some of your relatives.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
You
let's-
guys both look like a little bit like.
Yeah, we're like way
You
different
don't even know
than we
what to do
normally
with all
are.
this
We're usually
information.
like way more just kind of relaxed.
Just soaking it all in, soaking
our
it all
brains
in.
are all fried now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the 10 questions is the silly part of our show, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Want me to do question one, buddy?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Laura, if your life was a movie, what would you call it?
Oh my God. That's actually kind of a hard question. If my life was a movie, what would I call it? How to make lemonade out of lemons? I don't know.
All right,
That's
there you
so
go.
hard.
There you go. That's a good answer.
That's good.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Go ahead.
Exactly. All right, so question number 2. How can people connect more deeply with their intuition and spiritual wisdom?
I think the first thing to ask yourself, which is kind of seems too simple, and people don't understand how powerful it is, but you just have to ask yourself, what do you want? Because there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of things in their life, whether they're in a relationship they don't want to be in, or they're in a town they don't want to be in, or they're working a job they don't want to work. And why are you doing those things if you don't want to do them? So what do you want? It's a harder question than you think.
No, that's true.
Question number 3. Who would win in a fight between Freddy Krueger and Jason from Friday the 13th?
Oh my God.
Big old death match. Who do you think would win?
They did a movie on that.
I know.
There was a movie. I didn't.
was a
even- I
movie.
didn't-
Yeah,
I
there was a
stopped
movie.
watching horror movies about, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. That they just affected me weirdly.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I would say I have to go with Freddy Krueger.
What would you go with?
Probably Freddy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all
He
Team
seems more
Freddy.
vicious to me. I don't
Well,
know.
He
He's
does for
got
some
that-
reason, even though he's a skinny dude and Jason's like this unstoppable strong force.
He owns nightmares with the knife fingers. He's just kind of got it on lock. Okay.
All right.
Question number 4.
Question number 4 is, what is a terrible question to ask a psychic?
Oh wow, what is a terrible question to ask me? You know, when people ask me about I hate it when people ask me when they're going to die.
Oh yeah.
I hate that because I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like there's things that I'm given a lot of information, and sometimes I can see if somebody's going to make it through a health crisis or if they're going to live to, I can see like an old age or whatever. But when people ask me what their death date is, I don't understand why that information would help anybody. So I guess because I don't feel like it would help somebody, I don't get that kind of information. I kind of work in the field where everything is for your good, like for the betterment of your life. And I don't see how that would help anybody.
I don't think I'd want to know that answer anyway.
No,
because you'd just be counting down the days.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
It's literally an actual thing, though. A lot of people want to see a psychic
Like a
to
death
know
clock
what what their death date is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff.
No.
Okay. Question number 5. If you woke Mike from the dead, he'd be pissed off. Have you ever had a spirit super angry that they were awakened?
Oh, I like this.
You know, it is funny. It's not that I've awakened them, but it's sometimes how it happens. So I did a group reading a few years back, and this has happened in different ways, different people. But this lady at the group reading, she wanted to know if we could connect to her niece's husband who had passed. And he came through and he was so angry, and he must have had something with her like in life, because he said, I'm not going to talk to her before I talk to my own wife.
Okay.
And he stomped out if spirit can stomp out and slam the door, I'm sure he did.
All right.
That was it.
That's definitely you, Mike. All right. Question number 6. So this is a big one. As a psychic medium, what insights could you share about the purpose of our existence?
Wow.
It's a big one.
That's big. Honestly, we mimic the universe. The universe is always expanding. And so our job here is to expand our soul, expand our awareness, our knowledge, but also our main purpose is to live the life that keeps us in the higher vibrations. So every emotion, every feeling has a frequency, has a specific vibrational frequency. And we are meant to stay in the higher frequencies, which is like gratitude, enlightenment, love, peace. We're meant to try to stay there as much as possible, because that is the frequency that broadcasts the loudest. So it's often said that you can reach 750,000 people with a positive thought rather than just reaching 100,000 people with a negative thought, because it's the way that frequency kind of broadcasts the airwaves. And that's exactly how sometimes we have a thought. The phone rings and you haven't seen the phone yet, but you know who's calling.
Right.
You know who's calling because they've already transmitted over the frequency waves that they're calling you, and your mind has picked it up. So we're receiving and transmitting all the time. And if the universe is constantly expanding, how is that happening? It's happening partially through us, that our energy continuously expands.
Have you ever heard the song World of Vibrations by Gift of Gab from Black Alicious?
I haven't, but I should
You
listen
gotta
to
check that song out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll give it to me after.
We'll send it to you,
Yeah.
100%. Cool song. So it talks about the higher frequencies.
Question number 7.
I lost my thing again. Is it my turn to read?
It is your turn to read number 7.
What is the perfect sandwich to you? Like, if you just made a really good sandwich, what would be on it?
My perfect sandwich is ham and cheese, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of lettuce, mustard and mayo on like a rye bread.
Simple, smart, like it.
Yeah.
Quick. Yeah, you were quick on that.
That was,
I like sandwiches. Actually, food is my thing. I love food.
I love sandwiches. Sandwiches are the greatest. Okay, so question number 8. I don't think I have a guiding spirit. If I don't think I have a guiding spirit, where could I find one?
Everybody has one.
Oh,
Where can we find it? Is it at Walmart? Where is he?
Walmart.
Not Walmart. No. No. Everyone has at least one, we'll say, energy that has been with them from the time they're born. And we don't always perceive them. We can't always know they're there. But you can, there's things you can do. So I'm just trying to figure out how to explain it quickly. But basically just ask. Just ask for them to show some sign that they're with you, and they will speak to you in the best way they can. So that might be a simple thing. It might be a dime you find on the sidewalk that is significant to you. Because of my background, I have always connected to Mother Mary. So I talk to her. I pray,
Talk to Mother Mary, eh?
yeah, I
Crazy.
pray to her if I need anything. And I always just thought of her as
Angel
helpful.
song.
You got a God in spirit?
I don't know. Maybe.
No?
I don't know.
You
I
ever
don't
think
know.
of who it could be?
No, I never actually thought about, like, I don't know, because I never really truly believed in, like, guardian angels or
Right.
whatever.
Who passed on that you missed the most, that you maybe had a connection to or didn't have a connection to at all?
That's a hard question.
But that's the thing, your family can take that role.
Yeah.
Like your family can step up and be that protection for you. So everybody has some, guiding light, we'll say.
Yeah.
But as family members pass away in your lifetime, or it could even be somebody that passed away before you were born, they can take on that role to protect you as well. And they see, the thing is whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your personality is, whatever fits in well with your personality, that's what you're going to get. So if I was a person that loved animals and I just wanted to have animals around me all the time, there's a chance that some of my guiding spirits would be animals.
Okay.
But I think if you're in the mind frame, like you don't really believe in like the guardian angel idea, then your family members, that the ones that have been in your life that have passed, or the ones that you felt connected to even though they passed before you were born.
Yeah.
And those are the energies around you to help you.
That's the thing. It's like, I think for me, for family and stuff like that, it's like I miss my grandparents and we talked about Tom and stuff. So it's like, but for me, it's one of those things with Tom, definitely. And with my mom's father, I think he would have been one, like, I just didn't feel like I had enough time with.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot. I only had 2 more extra years with mom's mom. It's just, I think the reason why I focus on my mother's father is I think we're a lot alike.
Yeah.
So we're both stubborn. We're both really, firm in our convictions. And we have a lot of like similar kind of belief systems and stuff like that in a lot of ways. Like, like he kind of at one point walked away from the church. I walked away from the church. Like we're really strong in our like kind of Irish heritage type of thing, and, anti-monarchists and stuff. So there's a lot of things that, he passed away when I was 15.
So here's the funny thing that you're saying all this is that your guides, what we call spirit guides, they have to understand you. So they're usually a lot like you because they have to understand where you're coming from. And so that makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting that your dad's father came through because he had a different perspective.
I had a lot of time with him.
Yeah.
Right? He was in his late 80s, and and he was the last surviving grandparent. So I feel like I really had the time with him. Yeah. And he, I would have liked any of my grandparents to meet my son, but at least, my grandfather got to meet my wife and stuff like that, and I had a lot of time with him. Yeah. So I feel real like satisfied in that. Whereas I didn't have the same relationship, as long of a relationship with my other 3 grandparents.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, and I'm going to write these down.
I'm writing these down.
Okay.
Give us 6 numbers between 6 and 49 to use on March 12th. Any 6 numbers. Just spit them out.
This is for the lottery.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah, don't even think about it.
I can give you numbers, but listen, I would probably not be sitting here if I could pick the lottery numbers.
No, we agree. We're gonna gamble.
We believe we're not gonna spend our whole fortune on it. Just a few AP bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So let's do 6 numbers.
Okay, 6 numbers. Okay, let's do 12, 19.
Oh, I like where this is going already.
22.
Okay.
37. We're going up to 49, right?
Yep.
Is that where we're going? Okay. Yep. I need 42 and 47.
42 and 47. Do you gamble?
Not really. I mean, I buy the odd ticket. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
Well, listen.
Instapick? Do you let the AI machine do the work?
I usually pick my numbers. I usually pick them. I like
fun.
the energy of picking my numbers,
Well, you listen, if we hit the grand jackpot here, we'll slide you $1 million.
You'll be invited to the AP boat party.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you
Love
go.
it.
I sent those to you just so you have them there.
Oh, okay, cool. I got them written down too. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
All right, there, your turn, buddy. Last question.
That's right. Yeah, I got to go back to the questions here. So last question is the theme of this year. It's a question we're asking every single person. So what is one piece of advice that you were given in your lifetime that you'd like to share with us and our listeners?
So one piece of advice for this year, or are they two questions?
No. One piece that you got. This is just the question we're asking.
Like a piece of advice that was given to you in your life.
So just a piece of advice that you were given in your lifetime that you want to pass on.
Oh, that's good. I have to think about that a little bit. So much advice. I feel like my whole life is about advice in some way. So I'm like, which one? I think the one that I'm sticking with is there's kind of two sides to it. Just show up and you get to choose.
All right. I like that.
Just show up and you get to choose.
Yeah.
I like it. It's
I do
fresh.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Different from what we've had before. So it's good.
And I would say that this year is rocky. This year is the roller coaster. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Globally.
It's going to be a rough one. Or it's going to be a fun one. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Laura, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you again.
Thank you.
Episode. Great
seeing you again and helping us out and chat with us.
Thanks to Station 6.
Yes.
They hosted us. They always let us use the back room here, which is always really appreciated.
It's gone now, but I had the Propeller Black Lager, and it was awesome. And you know what? That's the first time I ever had it. And I seen it, and I always wanted to buy it, and never bought it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I've had it. Yeah, and I've got my classic Galaxy, which I love.
Sweet.
So yeah.
All right. Cheers.
And Laura had coffee.
I had
or tea. Or
I had a savory dark brew.
There you go.
Both are brewed.
Yeah.
Local cream.
There you go.
There you go. Awesome. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.